All right, let's jump right in. I want you to imagine something for a second. What if you could design a brand new community completely from scratch? And I mean completely self-sufficient. We're talking power, data, even its own food supply, all integrated into one single sovereign system. Well, today, we're looking at the blueprint for the person who actually does that, the sovereign systems architect.
This really just says it all, doesn't it? It's not about just getting by or adapting to what's coming. It's about grabbing the controls and designing the future yourself. This is the whole mission statement for this new kind of professional. So what is this architect really doing? It's so important to get this straight right away. This role goes way, way beyond your typical IT guy or engineer. We're not talking about just tightening some bolts or setting up a firewall. We are talking about designing an entire living, breathing organism. And this slide really helps clarify where the Sovereign Systems Architect, or SSA, fits in. You see, you've got your network admins, the CRAs, who handle the digital side. Then you have your power technicians, the SPTs, managing the physical grid. But the SSA? Their job is to sit on top of all that, integrating both worlds holistically. They're the master planner connecting the physical to the digital.
So, let's look at the official definition. An SSA is trained to design, fund, and govern these entire sovereign ecosystems. And you gotta pay attention to that cycle right there. Waste becomes power, power becomes data, and data becomes wealth. That's it. That's the core engine of a truly circular, self-sustaining economy.
Okay, so how in the world do they pull off this kind of integration? Well, the whole design philosophy is built around something they call the Velcro principle. It's a great metaphor, really. The idea is to tightly bind the digital world of data to the physical world of energy, so they're basically inseparable, and make each other stronger.
And this image right here shows that principle in action perfectly. The whole concept hinges on this one simple but powerful idea. Waste heat is just misplaced energy. You know, in a normal data center, all that heat from the servers, it just gets pumped out into the air. Total waste. But in this system, oh, it's an incredibly valuable asset.
Let me walk you through how this actually creates a real, tangible loop. It's so elegant. Step 1. You take agricultural waste, think corn stalks, wood chips, and you use it to fuel a power generator. Step 2. That power runs the data servers. Step 3. All that waste heat from the servers gets piped over to warm up a community greenhouse. And of course, step 4, the greenhouse grows more plants, which creates more agricultural byproducts, and boom, the loop is closed. It's a perfect self-sustaining cycle.
So if you want to become an SSA, you can't just be good at one thing. It demands that you wear 3 totally different professional hats, and you often have to wear them all at the same time. You've got to be an engineer, a banker, and a mayor. Let's start with that first hat, the engineer. This is the part of you that deals with the physical world, the site layout, the logistics, and maybe most importantly, the security of the entire operation. And what that means is designing something called a zero-trust spatial layout. Just think of it like a medieval fortress with multiple layers of defense. Zone 1 is the public area, with things like Wi-Fi hotspots and charging stations. Zone 2 is for staff only. That's where they handle the fuel and batteries. But Zone 3? That's the vault. That's where the core servers and power controls live, and the only way you're getting in there is with biometrics.
Okay, so you've designed your fortress. The physical plan is solid. Now it's time to switch gears and put on your second hat. You have to think like a banker. This is all about the money, the economics of the system. You've got to model the finances and make absolutely sure this whole thing actually turns a profit.
And that brings us to the one single massive economic question that an SSA has to answer constantly. Right now, this very second, based on all of the market data, is it smarter for me to sell power to the grid or to sell data services from my cloud?
The way you answer that question is by mastering what's called the spark spread calculation. You can just think of it as real-time energy trading. The architect uses data to decide on the fly. Do I burn my fuel to sell computing power? Or should I turn that fuel into diesel and sell that instead? Or maybe I just store all this energy in my batteries and wait to sell it when prices spike during peak hours.
And that brings us to the third hat. And honestly, this one might be the most complicated of all. Once you've engineered the site and you've figured out the economics, you have to think like a mayor. Because you're not just building infrastructure, you're building a community.
Yeah, this means you are literally drafting the digital constitution for the people who are going to live and work in this system. You're writing the terms of service, the data privacy rules, the bylaws that say who owns what, who owns all the data that's being generated here, who gets access to the security footage. These are huge questions, and the mayor has to answer them.
So with all this incredibly complex training, how does someone actually get certified as an architect? Well, it all boils down to one final, ultimate design challenge. You have to create a complete master plan for a real-world project.
And when I say complete, I mean complete. The final deliverables for this project are mind-boggling. You're submitting full architectural blueprints, a bill of materials for every last nut and bolt, a 10-year financial forecast, disaster recovery plans, the whole shebang. It's everything you'd need to get funding and break ground tomorrow.
But here's where it gets really, really interesting. The final exam isn't just turning in a paper. You have to record a defense of your entire plan. And you're not just pitching it to human experts, you also have to present it to a panel of AI agents that are programmed to act like skeptical investors and demanding city mayors. I mean, talk about a high-pressure interview.
This level of intensity and responsibility is exactly why this certification is positioned as a black badge. This isn't just another online course you can breeze through. It's a serious, professional accreditation, and yeah, it comes with a serious price tag. The commercial license for the Master Architect certification is $2,499. And I know, that's not your typical course fee, but there is a very, very specific strategy behind that number.
If you look at this chart, it kind of breaks down the economics from their side. The actual cost for them to deliver the course is only about $130, which, yeah, gives them an absolutely massive 95% profit margin. But the price isn't really about covering costs.
See, the real value for the person taking the course isn't just the knowledge. It's about the doors that Black Badge opens. For example, once you graduate, you get exclusive wholesale pricing on all the hardware. That perk alone could literally pay for the entire course on your very first project.
And this slide, this reveals the master plan. This is the real strategy. The goal isn't just to make money selling a course. The goal is to create an elite, influential network of architects. Their own models predict that the first 550 graduates will go out and order millions upon millions of dollars in hardware for their projects. At the end of the day, the course revenue is nice, but the real prize is all the hardware sales these architects will drive for years to come.
All of which leaves us with one final, really big question to chew on. This role gives a person an almost unbelievable amount of power, not just to design the buildings and the grid, but to design the actual rules of a community. So the question is, when you're the one holding the pen, when you can blueprint a new town from scratch, what rules do you write?